Hola y buenos días. Soy yo, el Señor Morris. ¿Cómo están ustedes? How are you all doing? I hope you've had a chance to practice your Spanish. We're going to do a lot of things today. We're going to talk about the calendar and then a special holiday that they observe in Mexico. We've got a lot of things to do. Busy, busy, busy. So let's go ahead and get started by singing our opening song. Canten conmigo. Hola, buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Cómo se sienten? Yo me siento bien. Muy bien cantado. Ahora les tengo una pregunta. ¿Listos? ¿Cuál es la fecha de hoy? Now, when I ask this question, you're going to use a calendar to find the date. Okay? Now, when you found it, you'll answer in this form. You'll say, hoy es blank. You'll say the name of the day. And then you'll say the number of the day, whatever that may be, de, and then the month. So, for example, if today is a Wednesday, miércoles, okay? And it's the 2nd of November, okay, you'll answer like this. You'll say, hoy es miércoles 2 de noviembre. Hey, that's very good. Well, I'd like for you to try to go over the date every day in Spanish. Now, all of you should have no problem with this. You know your numbers and the days of the weeks. We'll talk about the months. You can look those up. It's a good way to continue using your Spanish, which is the best way to learn it well. Today, we're going to look at a very special day in many Spanish-speaking countries, particularly Mexico. We'll talk about this holiday, which is celebrated on November 2nd. It's called El Día de los Muertos. Now, in English, this day is called All Souls Day. On this day, many people in many Spanish-speaking countries remember their family members who have died. They visit the cemeteries and put flowers on the graves, very much like we do on Memorial Day. But there are many other activities that people participate in on this very special day. We'll be looking at how people in Mexico celebrate El Día de los Muertos during our lesson. The roots of this holiday began long ago in Mexico, before the first Spaniards arrived. It's a holiday that goes back to a time when only Native Americans lived in the Americas. It involves many activities, one of which is putting up an altar or an altar to honor those people who have passed on. Now, last year we set up an altar here in our classroom, and I'd like to share that altar with you right now. So, pongan atención todos. And there are some things that are very typical that I'd like to point out to you. First of all, this arch. They always have an arch, and that's for the people that we're remembering to be able to pass through and join us in the celebration. Now, all of these things that you see here on our altar are called the ofrenda. Ofrenda, and that means offering. So these are all the things that we're offering. Some of the things that you'll always see are these flowers. These flowers are called Flor de Muertos, okay, or their Nahuatl name is Cempasúchil. And you always see these. As a matter of fact, sometimes they take the petals from these flowers and they'll make a pathway all the way from the cemetery to the house where they're having the party. So those are Flor de Muertos. Now, another thing that's very common that you'll always see on your altar is this. And this is the Pan de Muertos. And if you see, it's got a crossbone shape on the top there. Okay, we're going to talk some more about that in a little while. We always include a lot of skeletal images and skulls and things. One of them are these little toys that are made and played with. These are called calacas. You see, I can pull a string. There, he's dancing. All right, get down, get funky, yeah. This is called a calaca. Another thing that you'll see are skull shapes, like this one here. This is called a calavera. Calavera, and this guy is, hola, ¿cómo estás? He can talk. That's called a calavera. Another toy that you'll see is something like this. And this one, what does that look like, guys? A coffin, yeah, that's right. And it's got a little string there. If you pull on the string, ah! He's going to pop out and scare you. Now, there are always some common things that you'll find on the altar, and I'd like to point some of those out to you now. There's always food, particularly fruits that were the favorite of the people who passed on. There are candles for the people remembering. The atole and champurrado, the drinks. We have pictures of the people we remember. Candies, nuts, and you see the little candy-shaped skulls there? Those are made out of sugar. Right in the center we have an incense burner that burns an incense called copal, so that the people who are coming can smell their way to their party. There's always a glass of water so that the spirits who are coming to visit us can have something to drink. There's the sugar cane, caña, something to drink, and there's some calabacitas en dulce, or sweet pumpkin. Yeah, we have a lot of foods that we put on there. We put on mole that's made out of chocolate and seeds and chilies. We put on beans, a lot of foods and a lot of things that are fun because this is a happy holiday. Now, all of these things that you just saw are very common in many parts of Mexico. But I'd like you to get an idea of the variety of activities that people do on el Día de los Muertos by watching this video. Ahora, presten atención todos.
El Día de los Muertos. El Día de los Muertos is an important holiday all over Mexico, which is celebrated from November 1st through November 2nd in most places. It's a day for remembering the dead, and they are remembered with many things, such as cempasúchil, this marigold-type flower, which has a very strong scent. Mano de león is also used, as well as nube, which means cloud. People can be seen buying flowers all over the streets, and calaveras, or skulls, these made of sugar or alfeñique, a sugary paste. You'll also find ataúdes, or caskets made of candy, which people enjoy giving to their friends and relatives in celebration of the holiday. This woman is decorating a sugar figure with frosting, which is called betún. She has a tiny hole punched in the bag, and as she squeezes the bag, the icing comes out. She's also selling her goods while she's preparing them. There are many different colors of betún so that the figures will look very gay and lively. This is not a scary day, as some people might think at first glance. These masks are not intended to frighten anyone. Rather, they're intended to show that people are poking fun at death, having a good time making fun of it all day long. Lots of people like to wear masks or other costumes for processions and parades on el Día de los Muertos. And this woman has made the masks that you see here. Here we see what's known as a calaca, or a skeleton. On el Día de los Muertos, the dead walk among the living, but no one is frightened. They're welcomed. This is a day for people to feel close to the people who have left them, and again, to sort of poke fun at death. Another way people feel close to their loved ones is with the ofrenda, or offering. Flowers, such as the ones we saw before, especially cempasúchil, are placed on an altar with this offering. Also, many foods and things that the person liked while that person was alive, like this rice put into a brand new pot, as most foods on the ofrenda should be. This person also liked tortillas, seen here in a comal, or griddle, for cooking them. Also important are candles called velas. Usually they should be white or pale yellow in color. These are said to help the dearly departed souls find their way to the offerings, and may even be lit up in a path like we see here on this ofrenda. On this particular ofrenda, we find little tablecloths called manteles, because one wouldn't want to put the food on a bare table. The favorite foods and drinks of this person are on this altar, or altar, as well as copal, burning in an incense. Here we see the deceased person's picture, another typical custom. Pátzcuaro. That's what we see written on this papel picado, or paper cutting, because that's where this particular altar happens to be. There's also a pre-Hispanic figure here. Many of the roots of this holiday can be found in pre-Hispanic traditions. But there are also many things that the Spanish brought, like citrus fruits, the most common fruit seen because it's seasonal at this time. Also, pan de muertos, or bread of the dead, a bread flavored with anise. You'll also find alegrías and calaveras made of amaranto, or amaranth. We see here cocadas and jamoncillo too, typical candies of the season. To help the spirits stay light, there's also lots of dancing in many public places. This is el baile de los viejitos, the dance of the little old men. This is a traditional dance from the state of Michoacán. The men here dress up as though they were little old men and begin to dance in a lively way with their canes. By the end of the dance, they will be exhausted and arthritic, barely able to get themselves up. But in the meantime, with their guaraches, a special kind of sandal, these particularly padded with wood, they're able to stomp out a wonderful rhythm as they dance. The embroidery on their pants is also typical of Michoacán. But there is a more serious side to this day, and that can be seen in the night in the graveyard known as the Panteón in much of Mexico. Here people visit the graves, clean them, decorate them, and light candles. Even children go and may spend the whole night there with their families. People are talking about their loved ones who have died, remembering the good times, and they've also placed food on the graves for them here to show them how much they miss them and how much they would love to share this meal with them. For some Mexicans, the dead really do return on this day. Others simply place the offerings out to remember their dead and try to get over the loss of them. The church bells are ringing too, because there's going to be a Mass on this evening. The church plays an important part in El Día de los Muertos also. In fact, in this beautiful church, we'll find a gorgeous ofrenda with cempasúchil and candles and all of the foods of the season, particularly breads, more of the Spanish influence in the holiday festivities. There are plátanos, all kinds of bananas, frutas, all kinds of fruits, especially citrus ones, and even some vegetables which are seasonal in the late fall, like chayote, the squash we see here covered with spines. Also these hojaldras, different kinds of breads, manzanas, or apples, maíz, or corn, and many, many other seasonal fruits and vegetables. After El Día de los Muertos has passed, the streets of this town will become calm and quiet again. But the cemeteries remain newly decorated and fresh, ready for the day when the dead come to Mexico again next year.
All right, that looked pretty cool, didn't it? Yeah. How many of you think you'd like to try to go down to Mexico sometime and see El Día de los Muertos? Yeah. Yeah, me too. I think it's cool. Well, let's get ready for a trip down to Mexico by practicing our Spanish with this activity sheet. It's called La Ofrenda. Go ahead and write your names up there. Now, on this one are some of the items used on the altar for the Día de los Muertos. What I'd like you to do is read each statement and then answer it. It says, cuenta las flores. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It says, ¿cuántas flores hay? Escribe el número. So right here, all you'll have to do is write down the number. And I'm going to leave that up to you guys. You can see that there are a number of things that we put on the altar. Now, another thing that they do is recite a poem that I'd like to share with you now. It's called Calaveras, and you'll find it in the teacher's guides and in the student resource notebook. And it goes like this. Ahí viene el agua por la ladera y se me moja mi calavera. La muerte calaca, ni gorda ni flaca, la muerte casera pegada con cera. So you guys can practice that if you'd like. As I say, you have access to the words and their translation. Now, another activity sheet that we've included for you today is called Máscara de Calavera. Okay? You'll find this in the Learning Partners Guidelines and in the Student Resource Notebook. And what you do with this is you cut out the skull pattern and then you decorate it with yarn, markers, crayons, tin foil, however you wish, using color, sequence, or glitter. And then you put someone else's name on it. While you're doing it, think about the colors that you're using and their names in Spanish, okay? Another thing that I'd like to show you right now is this, and this is the Pan de Muertos. You can see it has the crossbone designs on it here, like this. I made this one at home. It's pretty easy. It's real common. Now, if you guys would like a piece of this bread, I'm afraid you're going to have to make it yourself. But you'll find the recipe for the Pan de Muertos on our website. So you might want to get hooked up and go to our website. That information is in your Learning Partner Guidelines. And you can make your Day of the Dead bread for yourselves in your class. Next class, we're going to continue to look at Tu País. So get your materials ready, and we'll see you then. Ahora tenemos que despedirnos. Hoy vamos a cantar Las Mañanitas, and this is the birthday song. Okay? They sing this early in the morning for who's ever having a birthday. Canten conmigo. Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba Rey David, pero no eran tan bonitas como las cantan aquí. Despierta, mi bien, despierta, mira que ya amaneció, y a los pajarillos cantan, la luna ya se metió. Until we see each other again, adiós, nos vemos.